One, coming to the continuation of the operative gynecology basics, we have covered about the preoperative care in our previous class. Now coming to the intraoperative and the postoperative care. Intraoperative care, it includes the different types of incisions, drainage and the closure of the wound. So incision, so most of the gynecological operations are done through the transverse incisions. The commonly used incisions includes fenestritial incision, Czerny incision, maillard incision, vertical incision or median or paramedian incisions. Phalangeal incision, it is also called as a muscle separating incision, is commonly used. The main advantage of transverse incisions are rapid wound healing, better post-operative convalescence, superior cosmetic results, good access to pelvic organs, less incidence of post-operative complications, wound dehiscence and the incisional hernia. Disadvantages are incision is difficult to extend when exploration of the upper abdomen is needed. Other transverse incisions includes Czerny's incision. Czerny's incision, in this the rectus muscle is dissected from its insertion at the symphysis. During closure, the rectus tendons are united to inferior portion of the rectus sheath with interrupted sutures. Maillard incision is a true transverse incision, transverse muscle cutting incision. The inferior epigastric vessels are ligated before ligating the rectus. The muscles are approximated during the closure. Next is the vertical incisions or median or paramedial incisions. Gives good access to the whole of the abdomen with excellent exposure. It spares all major vessels, nerves, muscles as opposed to the transverse incision. It gives rapid entry to the abdominal cavity, but its disadvantages are it lacks all the advantages of the transverse incision. So transverse incisions are considered as better compared to the vertical incision. Drains are used to prevent any accumulation of blood, pus, lymph, bile or interstitial secretions. They are less commonly used in the gynecological surgery when hemostasis is satisfactorily achieved. Early removal of the drains is done to avoid infection and to improve immobilization. It is usually done by 2 to 3 days after surgery when the drainage is less than 100 ml in 24 hours. The next is the closure of peritoneum. Traditionally, closure of peritoneum, pelvic and the parietal peritoneum is done at the end of the operation to decrease adhesions. However, the current studies have shown that such closure increases adhesions. Peritoneum rapidly spreads across any raw areas left after surgery and there is no need of the peritoneal closure. So before, like earlier times, we used to close the peritoneum. Now with the new research, they says that peritoneum closure is not necessary also. Next is about the post-operative care. Post-operative care, coming to the aims of post-operative care, why we should do the post-operative care, what are its aims. First aim is to support the patient to restore her or his physiological functions. So we are supporting to restore patient's physiological functions. Then to promote the tissue healing and prevention and management of any complications. So good post-operative care team, it involves a team of surgical team, nursing staff, physiotherapist and the dietitians. So it starts from the returning the patient from the operation theatre itself. So immediate post-operative care. First is the immediate post-operative care. It starts on the return from the operation theatre. The patient is taken to the recovery room or the post-operative ward, which is specially placed adjacent to the operation theatre. Patient is accompanied by a responsible person, doctor or the nursing staff. The prerequisite prior to shifting are vital signs such as pulse, respiration and blood pressure become steady. Patient recovers from anesthesia and is fully conscious. Anesthetist concern should be available. Fluid balance and any bleeding from the surgical sites are to be checked. Then next, in ward, first 24 hours what are we should do, and this is called as the day 0. Day 1 is the next day. This first day is called as the first 24 hours is called as the D0, that means day 0. First, placement in the bed. The patient is gently placed on her side in the bed. This reduces the risk of inhalation of vomitus or mucus. If spinal anesthesia is given, the foot end is raised for about 12 hours. If she has undergone spinal anesthesia during the surgery, then you have to make the foot end elevation for about 12 hours. Observation. The observation of the vital signs such as pulse, respiration and blood pressure is made half hourly in the initial period. The interval is gradually increased if there are they are found steady. Attention should be paid for any bleeding from the operated site. Then the fluid replacement. Following any major surgery, fluid is replaced intravenously. The amount of fluid to be replaced is decided upon the following factors, that is the intraoperative blood loss, operating time, urine output, and the volume of fluid already replaced. Blood transfusion, if needed, is given during operation and soon after. Blood transfusion should not be given unnecessarily. Urine output of at least 30 ml per hour indicates the adequate fluid replacement. On an average, after replacement of the fluid loss at operation, additional 2 to 2.5 liters of fluid are infused. As there is sodium retention following major surgery, the replacement is by 5% dextrose in water along with 0.5 to 1 liter of the Ringer lactate solution. The next about the pain control management. Adequate pain control ensures deep breathing, adequate oxygenation, early mobilization, prompt wound healing, reduced pulmonary complications, and less hospital stay. Liberal analgesics should be given to relieve the pain and to ensure sleep. A sedative is prescribed at night. For this purpose, intramuscular injection of pethidine hydrochloride 100 mg or morphine sulfate 10 mg is administered at an interval of 6 to 8 hours. Then NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents like ketorolac are also effective analgesics. In some centers, they use PCA, which is called as patient-controlled analgesia. Infusion pumps are used. Patient is instructed to use a preset dose of 1 mg of morphine without any overdose. Nausea, vomiting should be prevented by the administration of metoclopramide 10 mg or ondansetron 4 mg IM or IV. Antibiotics, preoperative prophylactic antibiotics are mentioned in the preoperative care as to be considered. Alternatively, the routine preoperative antibiotics are prescribed. This should be administered parenterally for 48 hours following by the oral route for another 3 days. Means for first 48 hours you have to give the antibiotics through the IV route. Then it is to be followed by the oral route. Oral route means you can start the tablets or capsules form, but in the first day you have to give through the IV or IM route. Then bladder care. Women having the major gynecological surgery using a Foley's catheter is inserted before the operation. It keeps the bladder empty throughout and reduces the risk of any bladder injury. It helps to monitor the urine output also. It reduces the risk of urine retention and pain. Generally, it is to be removed on the third post-operative day. So when to remove the catheter is, it can be removed on the third post-operative day. And prolonged catheterization is associated with the urinary tract infection. Catheter is kept for 7 to 10 days in patients having any injury to the bladder. Following removal of the catheter, post-operative urinary retention is a common problem. This is due to the pain, spasm of the pelvic floor muscles, tissue edema, and following the regional anesthesia. So residual urine is measured after micturition with ultrasound scan or by a catheter. Recatheterization should be done if the residual urine is more than 100 ml. Catheter may have to be kept for 24 to 48 hours. Then about the mobilization, the patient should be encouraged to move freely in the bed and to lie in any posture comfortable to her. Deep breathing and the movements of the legs and arms are encouraged to minimize the risk of DVT, thrombosis, etc. It is advantageous to allow the patient to sit or to stand by the side of the bed by the evening. The patient can have sips of water to relieve the thirst. Then next about the next day or the first post-operative day, you can say the general care. The patient is expected to look better and fresh. Vital signs are noted at least twice daily. Abdominal auscultation is done for the appearance of peristaltic bowel sounds. Enquiries to be made about the passage of flatus, whether she has passed flatus or not. Vaginal plug, if any, is to be removed early in the morning. The patient is encouraged to stand or to walk few steps by the side of the bed and to sit on the bedside or on a chair. Deep breathing exercises and leg and arm movements while on bed are encouraged. Diet, oral feeding in the form of plain or electrolyte water is given in small but frequent intervals with the appearance of bowel sounds or passage of flatus. Full liquid diet is prescribed. However, early post-operative feeding is safe. Early feeding that is less than 24 hours does not cause any increase in the paralytic ileus, vomiting or abdominal distension. Each case needs to be individualized. Then sedatives and analgesia. Parenteral analgesics are gradually replaced with the oral drugs like paracetamol, aspirin, NSAIDs, etc. in combination. Then second post-operative day, how the patient should be. The patient feels comfortable and looks fresh. She moves around in the room or goes to toilet by herself. Light solid diet of the patient choice is given on the second post-operative day. Self-retaining catheter is removed. Third and fourth post-operative days, daily observation of the vital signs. Twice daily is to be done as a routine. The diet is gradually brought to her normal. The bowel usually moves normally, otherwise low anemia or suppositories should be prescribed. Fifth and sixth post-operative days, the abdominal stitches are usually removed on the fifth day in the transverse incision and on the sixth day in the vertical incision. The stitches are to be removed in early morning with the patient in empty stomach. The precautions is taken so that the emergency repair of the wound can be done if the burst abdomen occurs. The next about the care of the perineum. Following vaginal plastic operation, the perineal wound is dressed at least twice daily or following each act of micturition and defecation. The dressing is done with the spirit and the antibiotic powder or ointment. Local pain and edema may be relieved by hot compress with magnesium sulfate or infrared rays. Discharge, there is a 10 to a shorter hospital stay these days, but complete recovery of all organ functions is needed before discharge. It may take 5 to 7 days when she is fit for discharge. Written information is given to the patient as regards the operative procedures. While an uniform guideline is difficult to formulate in an otherwise uneventful post-operative recovery, the patient may be discharged by 5 to 7 days following the hysterectomy. Then examination prior to discharge, abdominal operation and vaginal operation. Abdominal wound is to be thoroughly checked for evidences of sepsis, hematoma and dehiscence. Vaginal discharge, if any, is to be noted. If the discharge is offensive, gentle vaginal exploration by a finger should be done to exclude any foreign body, like any gauze piece is kept inside or pack is not removed, like that. So gently you have to go for the examination. Then vaginal operation, perineal wound is checked to assess the state of healing, whether the wound is healing or not. It is to be checked before discharging the patient. Vaginal exploration with the help of a finger is useful to detect the accidentally any retained or forgotten gauze piece. Then advices given on discharge. So what and all the advices we can advise, we can give patient on the day of discharge. First is the rest. Light household food can be resumed after 3 weeks, or outside or office works to be resumed after 4 to 6 weeks. While some resume their work earlier comfortably, others may find it difficult. However, minimally invasive surgery has got the advantage. Coitus, there is no fixed time bar. As soon as she is physically and psychologically fit, intercourse is permissible. However, it should not be resumed prior to the post-operative checkup, that is 6 weeks minimum, especially following the vaginal plastic operation and hysterectomy. Special instructions are mentioned in appropriate thing, like about after each surgery special instruction is given that is to be followed. Follow-up is usually after 6 weeks or earlier if some complications occurs. So this is all about the post-operative care in a gynecological patients.